Hello, my name is Willis Winters, and as president of the board of directors of Preservation Texas, I'd like to welcome you to our first ever virtual annual membership meeting. I am an architect and architectural historian based in Mineral Wells, and I serve as one of 10 volunteer board members from across Texas. I'm a graduate of the University of Texas at Austin and retired several years ago as the Director Emeritus of the Dallas Park and Recreation Department. I'm also the author or co-author of a number of books on the history of architecture in Dallas and the state of Texas. Our board meets quarterly in different locations around the state, allowing us to engage directly with local preservation efforts. This year we met in Houston and will convene in San Marcos, Fort Worth, and Brownsville. Last year, our meetings took us to Laredo, Waco, and Nacogdoches, giving us valuable insight into preservation successes, challenges, and opportunities across Texas. Today, we will review our accomplishments over the past year and look ahead to the projects and programs planned for 2025. This is a very special year for us as Preservation Texas was founded in 1985. As we celebrate our 40th anniversary, we want to thank you for your support as a member. Over the years, we have worked to serve the preservation community across Texas, and your contributions have been essential to our success. From the start, we have faced the challenge of serving a state as large and diverse as Texas with limited funds and staffing. Early efforts focused on ensuring that landmarks like the old General Land Office in Austin were preserved as part of the Capital Master Plan. In the 1990s, we led years of advocacy efforts, working with county judges, state legislators, and national partners to create the nation's first and finest courthouse preservation program. In 2004, we launched our most endangered places list. Since then, more than 200 sites have been included, with fewer than 10% lost. This initiative has led to remarkable successes, such as the transformation of the once derelict Zedler's Mill on the banks of the San Marcos River in Luling. But we've also suffered crushing losses, including the extraordinarily rare Lewis Curtis designed railroad depot in Snyder, Texas. In the coming year, we'll be rolling out a new iteration of our Most Endangered Places program to make an even greater impact. Stay tuned for updates on our Most Endangered Places 2.0 in the months ahead. In 2011, following the passing of Mrs. Willie Ford Bassett Sparkman of Dallas at the age of 100, we inherited the 2,400-acre Bassett Farms in Limestone and Falls counties. For the first time, Preservation Texas owned real estate, and a lot of it. Since then, we have conducted extensive historical research, restored native pastures, documented and designated the historic Hopewell Freedom Colony Cemetery, and launched the extensive restoration of the 1875 Bassett House, which we designated as a recorded Texas historic landmark. We've also completed the restoration of 2 historic outbuildings and hosted hundreds of students and visitors for specialized tours, study programs, and workshops. As a future site for stewardship and field schools, we will focus on the holistic management and cultural and natural resources, providing a model for large-scale, privately owned cultural landscape management practices. In 2022, the board formally adopted a regional program delivery model to organize our programs, be more deliberate in selecting board members, to focus fundraising efforts, and to better serve Texans statewide. We identified 9 distinct regions of Texas each anchored by at least one major metropolitan area. Today, we have full-time staff in 3 of those regions: Central, Northeast, and West Texas, and you will hear from our regional managers later in our presentation. In the years ahead, we plan to expand into all 9 regions of the state. The minimum budget needed to staff, operate, and deliver programs in each of these regions is $150,000 per year. And we look forward to working with donors, foundations, and corporate supporters to expand our statewide network. We would like to recognize and thank Ron Siebler and Dixie Hoover, whose terms expired after 6 years of dedicated service to the board at the end of 2024. Ron served as treasurer for several years, bringing his hands-on preservation expertise and infectious enthusiasm to all of our gatherings. Dixie's experience as a historic site manager, along with her many connections in Central and North Central Texas, helped us strengthen our network and deepen our impact across the state. Both Ron and Dixie represented Preservation Texas across Texas in their many volunteer capacities, and through the years became our close friends. We are deeply grateful for their service and lasting legacy they leave behind. This year, we are honored to welcome 2 new board members, both bringing important legal expertise to Preservation Texas. Frank Ainsa, a graduate of the University of Texas School of Law, has a strong background in commercial real estate and construction law with a focus on litigation and regulatory issues. Now living in Austin, Frank is passionate about promoting historic preservation across Texas and will chair our real estate committee. Allison Elder, also a UT Law graduate, has dedicated her career to protecting Texas' natural and historic resources. She currently works at Elder, Bray, and Bankler in San Antonio, specializing in conservation easements and real estate transactions. Allison will chair our public policy committee, and their combined efforts and expertise will be invaluable in supporting our statewide preservation efforts. I'd also like to acknowledge our officers who form our executive committee. Joining me on the committee is Sue Lazara of Linden, our vice president, who is in her 9th year of service on the board. As a real estate investor and advocate in California, North Carolina, and her native Cass County, she brings a wealth of experience to the table. Derek Birdsall, our new treasurer, is the director of the Sam Houston Memorial Museum and Presidential Library in Huntsville. With his extensive experience in historic site management, Derek offers a unique perspective, and we're excited to have him in a leadership role. Charlene Orr, a past president of Preservation Texas, and on her second 6-year tour of duty as a board member, serves as our secretary. Not only does she record our meetings for posterity, but she also brings invaluable institutional knowledge and perspective to our discussions. In line with our new strategic vision, we've organized our board into committees to drive our programs, resources, and new opportunities. As a member, we invite you to consider applying to volunteer for one of these committees by going to our website using the address on the screen. The Development Committee is led by David Martinez, and it works to grow our financial resources and expand our network of donors and sponsors. The Regional Programs Committee, chaired by Dr. Max Grossman, focuses on protecting endangered places and making a real impact across Texas communities through regional summits, tours, and events. The Real Estate Committee, under Frank Ainsa's leadership, oversees our revolving fund, conservation easements, and property acquisition policies. The Public Policy Committee, led by Allison Elder, develops and advocates for policies that protect historic places and programs to empower stakeholders with the knowledge to make preservation-friendly decisions. And our Historic Resources Stewardship Committee, chaired by Serena Putanat, ensures that our historic buildings, landscapes, and collections are well preserved and interpreted. Your voice and expertise can make a difference, and we look forward to hearing from many of you as potential committee volunteers. Thank you again for your support. I look forward to meeting many of you across Texas this year and working with our board of directors, committees, and professional staff to make Preservation Texas an even stronger organization. And now I'd like to turn it over to Evan Thompson, our executive director, for a look at the past year at Preservation Texas.
Thank you, Willis. My name is Evan Thompson, and as Executive Director of Preservation Texas, I am pleased to share our 2024 financial results with you and key elements of the strategic vision that the board adopted last year. After my remarks, 4 of my colleagues will highlight the work that we accomplished in 2024 around the state. I will then return to discuss some priorities for 2025 and then open it up to your questions. In 2024, we generated $735,000 in revenue, which is a combination of our membership dues, grants, donations, sponsorship, and program revenue, with expenses totaling $677,000. This was a record year for us, and for fiscal year 2025, the board has approved an operating budget of $800,000. With 5 full-time staff members, we are well positioned to expand our programs and initiatives, but that also means greater fundraising responsibilities. So we are grateful to all of you for your continued generosity as members, donors, and friends of Preservation Texas. As an organization, we navigate a complex preservation ecosystem that includes state agencies and local nonprofit organizations. We strive to complement rather than duplicate existing efforts, providing support to local organizations when they request it. One way that we do this is by serving as a fiscal sponsor for projects that benefit from partnering with a larger organization, particularly for fundraising support. We are currently serving as the fiscal sponsor for the Dickey Museum and Multipurpose Center, administrating a $500,000 grant from the St. David's Foundation for the reconstruction of the historic Dickey House. The site was included on our most endangered places list before it was tragically lost to arson in 2022 as the restoration project was coming to a close. As the project moves forward this year, we will assist with project management and fundraising. We are also serving as fiscal sponsor for the Palacios Preservation Association as they lead the effort to save the Luther Hotel and expand preservation initiatives in the community. On their behalf, we have accepted several major donations and grants, including from the Trull Foundation and Humanities Texas, to support their advocacy work. Additionally, we are supporting the Neighborhood Preservation League of Alamo Heights as a fiscal sponsor, as they work to protect the residential quality of life of Alamo Heights and mitigate the impact of the development of a significant and historic event venue in their neighborhood. In January 2024, after a months-long effort led by our consultant, Candace Metelick, and former board president, Charles John, we adopted a strategic vision for Preservation Texas. We updated our mission, we clarified our vision, and modified our 1985 charter to reflect present-day objectives. We also established 5 strategic directions to guide our work, ensuring meaningful outcomes as we prepare for a renewed statewide interest in preservation, which we believe will coincide with the state's bicentennial in 2036. We updated our mission to what you see on the screen. Preservation Texas empowers Texans to preserve their cultural heritage and steward significant buildings, collections, and cultural landscapes to ensure their permanent protection. This reflects the dual nature of our work, supporting Texans and local preservation efforts, while also undertaking stewardship initiatives and preservation projects of our own. We adopted a new vision. Preservation Texas undertakes highly valued and innovative historic preservation initiatives, led by its exemplary team of professional staff and delivered through its robustly supported network of regional offices and historic properties. This emphasizes the creative and adaptable role that we can play as a nonprofit organization and highlights the importance of our staff and regional networks in making this effective work possible. We updated our 1985 charter to explicitly include public policy and legislative work, recognizing their vital role in delivering our mission. We also broadened our stewardship responsibilities to include art and books while ensuring that our educational programs encompass preservation practices and trades. Our new strategic vision is organized into 5 strategic directions. I will briefly summarize those with you now and invite you to download the complete document by visiting our website for more details. In terms of public policy, we are going to continue to provide the statewide public policy leadership that so many of you expect us to provide. As a unifying voice for the community, we want to work with our legislators to support policy at the statewide level, while also working at the local level, educating preservation stakeholders and preservation law and policy in order to help Texans statewide protect the places that matter to them. As we mentioned earlier, the development of our regional networks is key to this strategy. With our 3 offices that we've opened so far, we hope to open additional offices in the years ahead. These regional offices, with their staff, will be able to work directly and responsively with preservation sites across Texas in a way that was not possible when we were focused solely in an Austin office. In terms of the stewardship of historic resources, we recognize that there are many organizations across the state that are unstaffed, that are often struggling, that need the support of an organization like ours. And we're open to working with them to potentially accept properties into a stewardship program. We started working with historic buildings directly with the Bassett Farms Conservancy that we have been stewarding for nearly a decade. But we are also open to including additional sites in our network and have a number of opportunities that we're weighing this year. We look forward to working with sites across the state to build a private network of historic resources that can complement the state agencies' historic sites that they so carefully steward. In order to make all of this work possible, we need to build our organizational capacity, and our board is committed to growing Preservation Texas's staff in order to deliver effective programs across the state in a range of capacities. We also are committed to growing our board. Currently, we have 10 board members, but our bylaws allow for a board of up to 27 people. We also want to build local advisory committees as well to help to guide and steer our work across the state. The development of sustainable revenue streams is important. As critical as membership and donor support is, we also need to think about new revenue streams that can support the work that we want to accomplish. And so by working directly with real estate acquisition and development, by expanding retail opportunities, and even providing fee-for-service, professional services for a fee, we will be able to expand our revenue streams in a way that can supplement the charitable contributions that so many have made to us, and we hope will continue in the years ahead. And so now I will turn it over to our program coordinator, Samantha Hunnick, to talk a little bit about what has been accomplished in the last year in her work with us at Preservation Texas.
Hi, everyone. My name is Samantha Hunnick, and I've worked for Preservation Texas since September of 2022. I grew up in Marble Falls, and I am a graduate of Texas A&M. I earned my graduate degree from the Savannah College of Art and Design in Georgia. And in my role here as programs coordinator, I work from our San Marcos office and I oversee our membership programs. I support our development efforts and I manage our graphic design, website, social media, and other special initiatives. I would like to invite you all to follow Preservation Texas on Facebook and Instagram, where we share updates about our activities, we spotlight important historic resources, and we provide timely updates on issues of concern. It's also a great way to connect with fellow members and preservationists across Texas and to learn more about the historic and cultural resources of our state. Our website, which I have been updating over the last 2 years, is also a wealth of information that we continuously refine to ensure that it's accurate and useful. As Willis mentioned earlier, our board meets across Texas, and I have the pleasure of coordinating our board's activities during these meetings, which includes tours of historic places that allow us to engage with local advocates and stakeholders. We've had particularly rewarding visits recently to places like San Ignacio on the Rio Grande, the recently restored Zion Hill Church in Nacogdoches, the Old Settlers and Veterans Association Tabernacle in rural Falls County, and we had a spring visit to our 1875 Bassett House last year. In 2024, I was able to help secure historic Texas cemetery designations for two Freedom Colony cemeteries, the St. John Freedom Colony Cemetery in Caldwell County and our Hopewell Freedom Colony Cemetery in Falls County. I was also excited to attend the official announcement of the inclusion of the Cindy Walker House in Mexia on the National Trust's 11 Most Endangered Places list in May last year, which followed our own listing of the house on our Most Endangered Places list back in 2022. We also joined Limestone County historians and officials in unveiling an undertold historical marker in Cossie, near our Bassett Farms. And that marker was sponsored by Preservation Texas, and it recognizes the skilled Chinese laborers who were brought to Texas in 1870 to extend the Houston and Texas Central Railroad through Robertson, Falls, and Limestone counties. As the coordinator of our membership programs, I also join Willis in thanking you for being a member. And I encourage you to recruit your friends and colleagues to join us as well, as our network is made stronger with every new member we can add. In the last year, we've launched some new benefits for our members, including our monthly Lunch and Learn webinars, which have covered topics such as conducting oral histories, investigating Trammell's Trace, and saving the Luther Hotel. We also look forward to seeing you at one of our regional events this year, and we will be returning as an exhibitor at the Texas Historical Commission's Real Places Conference in Austin this April. Back in November, we launched a member field trip program with a visit to several endangered places in Lampasas. These are free and informal events that offer a behind-the-scenes look at historic places for our members, particularly places that are endangered or in the midst of a preservation project. And we are still in the works of planning this year's field trips. So if you are willing to plan or host one of these field trips, please let me know. And one of our strategic directions that Evan mentioned is to offer retail products to support our mission and increase our visibility. So with that in mind, I have designed some Preservation Texas branded merchandise that tie into our programs and projects. So we have PT branded baseball caps, and then last year we made t-shirts to commemorate our log building summit in Nacogdoches, our hands-on Adobe workshop in El Paso, and our campaign to save the Linden Fire Station. So be sure to visit our website and support PT by bringing home one of our PT products. And now I'm going to turn it over to Connor Herdrich.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Connor Herderich. I'm based in Tyler as Preservation Texas's Northeast Texas Program Officer and manager of our Endangered Places program. I came to Preservation Texas in January of 2023 after working in education, local government, and cultural resource management. And I've earned an undergraduate and graduate degrees from Stephen F. Austin State University. In 2024, as the Northeast Texas Program Officer, I visited many historic places and worked with those who were preserving them. At the Texas Basket Company in Jacksonville, met with the owner to discuss options for preserving the history of the 125-year-old business before it closed. I met with the owner of the Thomas Log Cabin in Angelina County. It's a unique sawn log cabin built in 1876 to discuss options for relocation and preservation. At the Forest Hill Log House in Cherokee County, I provided guidance on best practices, connected the owner with consultants, and was able to integrate the building into our historic log building summit. I also toured the John Duff Little House in Sherino, where the owner is working with a preservation architect, and I visited the Scott Barker House in Melissa, which was nominated to our Most Endangered Places list last year, to discuss potential adaptive reuse with the city manager and city council member. As the Endangered Properties Manager, I oversee the $750,000 Texas Rural African American Heritage Grant Program, funded by a grant from the National Park Service's Paul Brune Historic Revitalization Program. And Preservation Texas is using this money to provide grants of up to $75,000 to support the rehabilitation of endangered rural African American institutional buildings in towns with populations under 50,000. Since its launch in 2022, the program has made a lot of progress. 10 out of 10 of our projects, which you see here on the screen, have been approved by National Park Service and Texas Historical Commission. The scope of works have been approved and they're greenlit to move forward. 7 out of 8 National Register nominations, which is also a program requirement, have been submitted to the Texas Historical Commission. Some of those were funded by over $18,000 in grants we got from the Texas Historical Foundation. So I wanted to thank our friends over there. Others National Register nominations were completed with the help of PT staff, interns, and even a board member. So all hands on deck. 8 out of 10 projects have started or are about to start construction, and our goal is to complete, wrap everything up by the end of September this year. So these things, they're wonderful. They're sparking excitement. They're revitalizing communities by turning the spotlight back on these historic places that were once overlooked. And as you can see here, local media has actively been covering these restoration efforts, and it's really been an honor to represent Preservation Texas in these stories. You know, seeing the impact that these projects have on local communities, bringing attention to their history and helping create new opportunities has really been a fulfilling part of my role with Preservation Texas. It's encouraging to witness how these restorations are not only preserving history, but fostering a sense of pride and optimism for the future in rural Texas. I'll talk about our most endangered places list. The 2024 list, I'll highlight several crucial historic sites across Texas. Fort Ringgold in Rio Grande City. It's an important military post dating back to the mid-19th century. Its preservation is vital to understanding frontier military presence and the role in the area's development. The Pullum House, which we visited actually during our board meeting in Houston last month, is part of the Freedmen's Town Museums, which tell the story of African American resilience and culture in post-Civil War Texas. That house is a critical piece of the history of freed slaves in the region and serves as a symbol of community strength. Another notable site on the list is the Institute of Texan Cultures building in San Antonio, where a demolition permit has been issued, signaling the loss of a distinctive modern structure. Similarly, the University Junior High in Austin, an important example of 20th century public school architecture, is also at risk with a permit granted for its demolition. So definitely some struggles along with some successes, but that's why we're all here. This year's list reflects both the opportunities and challenges in safeguarding our shared heritage. A particular passion of mine with my background is education. And in 2024, I helped Preservation Texas expand in this area. Hands-on education is crucial because it provides practical experience with preservation techniques, which ensures the survival of both cultural heritage and skilled trades. Participants get to gain a real-world knowledge that empowers them to take on preservation projects themselves and develop a deeper understanding of the craftsmanship that's involved with that. Along with my colleague, Jesus Nahar, we coordinated a hands-on Adobe workshop at Harts Mill in El Paso this past summer, where participants learned valuable skills in Adobe conservation. We also hosted our first log building summit in Nacogdoches, which focused on the preservation of log structures and brought together experts and enthusiasts from all around the state. It was a wonderful event. Looking ahead, I'm developing an ongoing Adobe conservation series at Rio Vista Farm in El Paso County for 2025 and beyond. And I'm also exploring a potential partnership with Texas Parks and Wildlife for a project at Bonham State Park in Fanning County, because we think there's a lot of opportunities there at state park sites for expanded hands-on training opportunities. The Linden Fire Station. The 1939 Linden Fire Station was the first of its kind in Cass County and was originally built to house an all-volunteer fire department. It's a vital piece of the community's history and was added to our most endangered places list in 2016. In 2024, we took decisive action and purchased the building to prevent its impending demolition and integrate it into our Heritage Lodging program, which supports the rehabilitation of historic buildings for sustainable use. To begin that project, we developed and executed phase one. You can see some photos there, which was informed by a structural engineering report to stabilize the building and address imminent threats to its integrity. Right now, we're focused on raising funds for phase 2 and 3, which will involve its complete rehabilitation, ensuring the fire station's preserved for future generations and revitalized and reintegrated into the community. Also in 2024, at the request of the city manager and the mayor of Linden, Preservation Texas provided guidance to help secure the National Register of Historic Places designation for its downtown area. And I think it's a really good example of kind of the services that we offer in these regions and we can help assist towns, cities, and communities with. The designation will bring, a lot of benefits. Property owners will be able to access the state and federal tax credits to assist with the costs of preserving their historic buildings. The community can also leverage the designation to boost heritage tourism and potentially generate economic activity tied to Linden's historic character. For Preservation Texas, this designation enables us to pursue tax credits for the 1939 Linden Fire Station project as part of its rehabilitation. So 2024 is an action-packed year. I'm excited to continue growing our programs and expanding them in Northeast Texas. And I will turn it over to Jesus Nahar.
Hello, I'm Jesus Nahar, the Central Texas Program Officer and Architectural Programs Manager for Preservation Texas, based here in San Marcos. I joined PT last April after working with the National Trust for Historic Preservation in Laredo, at the Texas Historical Commission, and managing preservation projects at Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond. Last year, I provided field services not just in Central Texas, but across the state, assisting communities in regions without dedicated field representatives. I provided direct technical assistance for key sites, including the Claiborne Cow Log House, where I worked with the Cow Log House Commission to plan repairs and explore long-term preservation strategies. In Tewakana, I partnered with the Tewakana Heritage Society to initiate a strategy for rehabilitating Texas Hall and preserving the historic Trinity University campus. In Sutherland Springs, I assisted community members working to save the Tyner Hendricks House, an important early home at risk of loss. In Crockett, I met with the board president of the Mary Ellen Seminary to discuss preservation efforts and potential partnerships for the historic African American school. Beyond these projects, I provided preservation guidance, technical assistance, and advocacy for historic buildings across Texas, from reviewing grants for preservation projects in Austin to supporting efforts to prevent demolition of the Institute of Texan Cultures in San Antonio. These efforts reflect Preservation Texas's commitment to strengthening historic preservation statewide. As our architectural programs manager, I have worked on Preservation Texas's properties at Bassett Farms Conservancy in and near Cossie. At the former Cossie City Hall building, which will serve as an orientation and meeting space for Bassett Farm Conservancy, I have overseen planning, restoration, and site improvements, including critical repairs and structural stabilization of the back wall. These efforts built on the restoration of the building's historic 1915 facade, which included rehabilitation of transom windows, storefront windows, and installing two new front doors. At Bassett Farms, I submitted Part A and Part B of the historic tax credit application, ensuring compliance with preservation standards to secure a significant tax credit for the exterior restoration of the Bassett House. Additionally, I prepared plans for exterior improvements, including a reconstructed back porch, exterior door hardware, and lighting, all scheduled for completion in April. As part of our strategic direction to develop new revenue streams for Preservation Texas, while meeting the needs of local partners for professional services, I have helped launch our new fee-for-service program. This initiative allows us to provide expert preservation assistance while generating funding to support our mission. In Brownsville, we're developing strategies for enhancing the city's art, history, and cultural spaces and facilitated workshops with community stakeholders to gather feedback for the final report. Also in Brownsville, I conducted site visits to document the endangered Neal House for the city of Brownsville, including existing conditions, measure drawings showing the building's evolution, and compile research documentation for a final report with preservation recommendations for its planned relocation later this year. Outside of Central Texas, at the Stagecoach Dock Trot in Lavaca County, I'm preparing a historic structure report, which includes historical research, a building description, and a structural engineer's assessment with recommendations. We're currently preparing proposals for similar projects here in San Marcos, down in Cameron County, and Crockett County in West Texas. Last year was busy for us in South Texas, outside of our Brownsville work. In South Padre Island, I met with the U.S. Coast Guard officials to address the neglect of the 1923 Coast Guard Administration building and barracks, working with the Texas Historical Commission to enforce its preservation covenant. I also provided technical assistance during site visits to San Juan's Endangered Hotel and the city of Hidalgo's vacant late 19th century structures while representing Preservation Texas in local television media interviews. In San Antonio, our work with advocates for the Institute of Texan Cultures building is leading to a proposed legislation amending the State Antiquities Code, ensuring local voices are heard when state landmarks face demolition. I look forward to another busy year ahead as we deepen our connections in Central Texas and expand our architectural horizons with new and interesting projects across Texas. Now I'll turn it over to Victor Hurtado.
Thank you, Jesus. Hello from El Paso. I'm Victor Hurtado, West Texas Program Officer at Preservation Texas, and the newest member of the PT team, having joined in September of last year. I'm a proud El Paso native and a graduate of the University of Texas at El Paso, where I recently completed my MBA and worked full-time for nearly 5 years. I have a deep passion for the history and architecture of El Paso and West Texas, and I've been busy making an impact during my time here so far. Last year, we were awarded a 3-year contract with El Paso County to support heritage tourism and develop an educational programs focused on historic adobe buildings, the Mission Trail, and expanding local knowledge of the region's historic resources. I'm excited to share that on February the 1st, we signed a 3-year lease for a commercial space in the heart of downtown El Paso, which will serve as El Paso County Heritage Center. This highly visible location will allow us to welcome heritage tourists, provide preservation resources, sell local history and preservation books and merchandise, and host programs and exhibits. I have been collaborating with my colleague Sam Hunnick on the development of our first exhibit, which will open on March 27th. This exhibit will focus on the work of San Antonio architect Myron Arkinroth, who in 1936 was tasked with documenting historic adobe structures in El Paso County as part of the Historic American Building Survey. The exhibit will delve into the background of his work, the significance of adobe buildings, and feature 10 high-quality photographs, reproductions of his photographs. After the exhibit closes, it will travel to other venues across El Paso County. Later this fall, we will open an exhibit on the architecture and engineering of El Paso's early 20th century skyscrapers, which are among some of the most iconic landmarks in West Texas. I am working to identify 2 sites for our hands-on adobe workshops in El Paso County this year. One potential site is Rio Vista Farm, a National Historic Landmark in Socorro that showcases historic adobe structures and is significant for its early agricultural history associated with the mid-20th century Bracero program. The farm includes a collection of adobe buildings that highlight traditional adobe construction techniques. We are in discussions with the city about offering workshops there, taking advantage of the site's historical context to teach preservation skills. Additionally, we're exploring the possibility of securing a separate historic adobe building to establish a permanent adobe classroom where we can train local residents and professionals in the conservation of adobe structures. One of the exciting projects we'll begin this year is the research for a field guide to historic El Paso County. This guide will be a valuable resource for both locals and visitors, offering a comprehensive overview of the county's rich cultural and architectural history. El Paso County is home to a unique blend of historic adobe structures, iconic early 20th century buildings, and significant cultural landmarks. Much of this history is not widely known or documented in an accessible way. By creating a field guide, we will help fill this gap, providing an easily accessible tool for people to learn about and explore the region's history in a more meaningful way. The guide will also highlight lesser-known sites, promote heritage tourism, and encourage preservation efforts across the county. As the West Texas Program Officer, I represent an area that stretches across the vast region west of the Pecos River, an area rich in history and unique cultural landscapes. Among the sites we're currently working with are those on our most recent endangered properties, most endangered places list, including the Camp Stockton Sutler's store in Fort Stockton. This early adobe structure is a rare surviving example of military frontier architecture, and we're working to support local preservation efforts for a key piece of the region's history. We're also concerned about the cultural landscape of Indian Hot Springs in Hudspeth County, a site with deep historical significance that once served as a gathering place for Native American communities and later became a popular health resort, but that will be impacted by a proposed natural gas pipeline. Both sites offer unique challenges and opportunities for preservation, and we're committed to safeguarding their stories for future generations. I will now hand it over to Evan Thompson, who will offer a look ahead to 2025.
Thank you, Victor, and I'm so proud of the team that we have assembled at Preservation Texas. And as you've just heard, we've accomplished a great deal in 2024. We've set some important goals for 2025 as we work to implement our strategic vision, and I'd like to expand on them before we open the floor for any questions that you may have for us. We need to continue building our capacity, which includes expanding our physical footprint, increasing staffing, and securing the funds necessary to support our growing programs. In San Marcos, we are working to secure a historic building that will house our Central Texas office while also providing meeting and exhibit space focused on Hays County. In Tyler, we are planning to open a physical office and are also thinking long-term about collaborating with other Smith County organizations on a future, much larger shared space. We are eager to open and staff a field office in Southeast Texas, and soon our work in the Rio Grande Valley will necessitate opening a field office in Brownsville. Additionally, we are working to improve facilities at Bassett Farms to further develop the site as a field school, which will include an extensive Texana and architecture library. If you're interested in donating books to Preservation Texas, we would welcome the opportunity to work with you on accepting a donation. We are planning 5 regional summits this year as we work to reach a growing network of preservationists. We will meet in San Marcos in May, in Fort Worth in July, Longview in September, Brownsville in October, and El Paso in November. Each regional gathering will have a different focus, ranging from the future of historic districts to cultural landscape preservation. We have also submitted a proposal to host the annual conference of the Southeast chapter of the Society of Architectural Historians in El Paso in 2027. In 2025, we will further develop new revenue streams. Hands-on training is one component of this strategy, along with the fee-for-service program that Jesus discussed and the development of retail products, as Sam mentioned earlier. Additionally, saving and repurposing historic buildings as lodging, modeled on the program offered by the Landmark Trust in the United Kingdom over the last 4 decades, can provide a sustainable economic model to save and protect historic resources without turning them into museums. This is a strategy that we will use in Linden for the restoration and future use of its fire station, and we are actively exploring several other opportunities across Texas as a way to invest in preservation while providing a sustainable economic model for historic sites. Next week, we have organized Preservation Day at the Capitol, where preservation advocates will network at an opening reception hosted by Preservation Austin, followed by a day of legislative visits at the state capitol. During this event, a House resolution will be read on the floor of the House, recognizing the work of Preservation Texas and Preservation Day. Preservation Day is a PT tradition, and our legislative work is a key component of our public policy efforts. Additionally, in 2025, we will be developing a web-based resource focused on preservation law that will be based on a handbook that was created by our colleagues at Historic Fort Worth with the support of the State Bar Foundation a number of years ago. In 2025, we will be developing a new historic site on Potter's Point, just north of Caddo Lake in Marion County. Through the work of our board member, Sue Lazar, we will be securing the site of the home of Robert Potter, an early Texas founding father and politician whose story has been written about and celebrated through many different writings, including a work of fiction. That dramatic story will anchor the interpretation of the archaeological resources that are there as we work to develop Potter's Point Conservancy as an important historic place in Northeast Texas. We are also developing plans longer term for what we're calling our Center for Texana Studies, where we will be able to steward and interpret historic material culture from across Texas. Last year, with the dissolution of the Dallas Heritage Village, we were able to work with the village to secure several dozen very important early Texas examples of material culture, including a textile produced in 1838, signed by a man named John Thomas in 1838. In the middle, a piece of furniture that was produced in Fredericksburg by a Jewish Union veteran who moved to Fredericksburg and became a furniture maker, and a jug, a stoneware jug on the right that is attributed to a black potter named Milligan Frazier, who was working northwest of Marion County in the Reconstruction era of Texas. These pieces, as well as many others that we currently have stored, we hope to interpret through exhibits and to partner with other organizations with historic Texas collections to better interpret our material culture along with the state's historic architecture. And last but not least, we are continuing this year to develop ideas and programs around Bassett Farms Conservancy, which offers a remarkable opportunity to offer field school programs and cultural stewardship of historic landscapes, historic cemeteries, and historic buildings. As we develop Preservation Texas Institute at Bassett Farms, we are also exploring the acquisition of a major historic site in nearby that will serve as lodging and program space, as well as opportunities for additional hands-on preservation work to support a more comprehensive vision of an educational resource for Texans all across the state, where they can come and visit and learn about preservation practices, hands-on programs, and also offer residencies for historians and preservationists who want to conduct research and do writing in a historic environment. We're excited about the opportunities and hope to share more about that with you in the months ahead as we develop our 2025 programs. So again, I thank you so much for joining us for our 2025 virtual annual membership meeting. We hope this will become a new tradition for us as we try to gather our members from across the state and share with you our program successes and the opportunities that we are looking at as we develop Preservation Texas into the robust organization that Texas deserves. And so now we will open the floor to any questions that you might have, and thank you all for your attention this afternoon.
Okay, so we want to hear from you all directly. We're going to try something new. If you have a question for us, go ahead and use the raise hand feature on the bottom of your Zoom toolbar. And when I see a hand raised, I will allow you to unmute yourself so that you can talk to us directly. So I'll look for hands now. Okay, David Gravel, we're going to go with you first. You should be allowed to unmute now.
Thank you. As a note, I am a commissioner of the Texas Historical Commission, and I'm interested in your historic sites and wondering if you have considered at some point, once you have developed the site, handing it off to the THC so that state funding could be involved.
Well, thank you. And that certainly is an intriguing possibility, particularly as we develop the idea around stewardship. And certainly the site that we are actively pursuing in conjunction with the Preservation Texas Institute is going to likely require significant funding contributions from a range of sources, and that certainly might include state legislative support. And so we are certainly open to partnering with the Historical Commission on any of the sites that we are working with, and think that that's really an exciting opportunity for us to pursue. So I appreciate that suggestion, and we will certainly work with you all as we develop these ideas further.
Can I ask another question?
Yes, sir.
Do you mind?
Sure, go ahead.
You may know that the Texas Historical Commission has vastly expanded its network of historic sites. I got on the commission in 2000, and I don't think we had 12 sites, and they weren't managed very well, but our incredible chairman, John Now, has over time expanded our network, and it's pretty amazing, really. We add visitor centers to the major sites, and have done so at San Felipe and working on the one at Washington on the Brazos and San Jacinto as well. And there will be more to come. Anyway, I'm not pitching that to you, except it could be an opportunity to work together to preserve these incredibly interesting sites so that they don't suffer the embarrassing fate of the Institute of Texan Cultures in San Antonio and University City Junior High, which I was part of the commission that voted to award a designation of SALs in both of those cases. But due to an incredibly one-sided antiquities code that favors the University of Texas, the commission's hands are tied. I wanted to bring that out because there's a great number of commissioners that really opposed the permits, but due to the antiquities code, there was nothing we could do about it. And I was sickened to see those two in your presentation. I'll shut up. Thank you.
Well, thank you again, Dave. And just a couple of weeks ago, we had our board meeting in Houston, and as a staff, we gathered for the meeting and visited the San Felipe historic site and really saw the incredible work that's been done there, and that, of course, our colleague here, Jesus, had some role to play in the development of that, and really impressed with what the commission has been able to accomplish with those historic sites. There are many historic sites across the state, as you know, that are stewarded by small organizations and local governments that certainly would benefit from increased investment and visibility to build up that network, and the role that we can play in facilitating some of that work with y'all is important to us. In terms of the state antiquities code, we have been working with some local advocates to develop a tweak to the code to at least provide for a public forum if a building owned by a state agency that would otherwise be exempt is being considered for demolition. This would provide an opportunity for the public to request a hearing and require the applicant, state agency, the university to provide and establish on the record a preponderance of the evidence that the demolition of the building is in the public interest. While it still wouldn't necessarily stop a demolition, it would give advocates a voice at the table that we think is important to provide closure, even if an outcome isn't successful, that people feel like they still had a chance to voice their concerns and provide information and otherwise participate in the process directly. But certainly longer term, perhaps a far more comprehensive revision needs to be looked at. So thank you for that.
God bless your efforts.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Catherine Roberts, are you still with us? Sorry, one second. Okay, you should be able to unmute now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Catherine Roberts with the Yates Museum. I want to thank your intrepid board climbing up into that 1891 house of Pullum in Freemanstown. And then getting in there. You were great. I want to ask you two questions. One of them is if someone wants to make a donation specifically for the Pullum House restoration to the Preservation Texas, will the full amount of the donation go to the restoration of the Pullum House? And
so in terms of our fiscal sponsorships, the way those work is we develop a written agreement that outlines the program, what we would accept, and what our role and responsibility would be. In order to administer the funds as a fiscal sponsor, we set a 6% administrative fee, which helps to cover the expenses associated with processing payments, thank you notes, and of course the financial review and audits that we do every year. But if you're interested in working with us on something like that, feel free to reach out. We can send you a template that we've used and developed with the other sites, and go from there.
Oh, that'd be great. The second question has to do with the SAL. Do you help prepare applications for SAL designation for properties? We have state markers, but not the antiquities landmark for our houses.
Sure. So we're in the process right now of fully developing the menu of services that we will be able to offer, and certainly working on nominations such as an SAL nomination is going to be one of those things on the list. And so we will be releasing that menu of opportunities during Preservation Month in May. And so please be on the lookout for that. We'd be happy to work with you on that type of work.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions? I'll look for more hands raised. I see Dixie. Are you there, Dixie?
While we're waiting for Dixie, I did see a question from Bhavesh, and he had to leave, and he had a question about honor awards this year. We are currently reviewing how we're going to handle the honor awards. So we went from an annual program to a program that was offered every other year. So this would be the year in which we would be asking for award nominations. The last time we did this in 2023, we limited the projects to those that related to one of our most endangered themes or listings. So as we think about how to offer the honor awards program in 2025, we might further refine those requirements, but that also is something that we plan to announce during Preservation Month, to open that up and offer those awards later this year. Dixie, you're with us? Well, Dixie,
okay.
We miss you, and we'll talk to you another time.
Linda Ferris, are you there?
I'm here. Do you hear me? We're in Tawakona.
Yes.
We hear you, Linda.
Yes, there are 4 of us here that are listening to you and getting very excited about your presence in our town. So we enjoyed seeing the 2 pictures of the campus properties, Texas Hall, and the old gym of Westminster. And we're very excited that Preservation Texas is interested in us.
Very excited to hear our name on the air.
And all that you're doing. We wish we could support you more.
Well, we certainly are very interested in Tawakona. There's some tremendous possibilities there. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow when we are in Tawakona, and hope to further develop that opportunity and make an announcement later this spring. So thank you all for joining us, Linda and your team there in Tawakona.
Can't wait to see you.
Some wonderful potential there.
Can't wait to see you.
We'll have to dress warmly. It's going to be 43 degrees from what I can tell.
Any other questions or comments? Amy Hammonds, I saw you had a question in the chat. Do you want to talk?
Okay. I just wanted to know a little bit more about the priorities when you're acquiring property, kind of what you look for in terms of what you're trying to accomplish, and what can be accomplished with a site.
Hey, Amy, thank you for that question. There are a number of areas in which we would consider another number of reasons why we would consider acquiring a property. One would be to provide an office space for Preservation Texas, program space, a regional heritage center, whether that would be fee simple ownership or a long-term lease. We are open to both of those, and we're considering both of those. In working with a county or municipality, as you know, a 39-year lease allows for tax credits to be brought to bear on projects that would otherwise not qualify. So a lease is something that we would look at, and that would be for a property that could serve as potentially an office. It could be potentially a stewardship site that we would open to the public and offer programs, sort of more of a traditional historic site. And then in the fee simple ownership category would be buildings that we would own as revenue producing sites. So it might be a building that we put into our historic lodging program, or that might be offered for a commercial lease. But on our team, Connor and Victor and Jesus have been working on developing a template that would allow us to plug in the numbers on various scenarios to develop what would be the most economically viable opportunity in pursuing potential property. But I think that at a minimum, and this goes for a potential conservation easement program that we will develop, we would seek to acquire buildings that are listed on the National Register or that are RTHLs or that would qualify for that, because the tax credits would be so important for the financial model for whatever projects we undertake. But in short, just would say that we are very open to any type of site that would have a sustainable and viable use, that but for Preservation Texas's involvement, that building might be lost or otherwise shut down and continue to decline. So endangerment is an important consideration as well, Amy.
Thank you.
I see Justin's question in the chat about protecting historic Texas landscapes. And Justin, that's exactly the sort of issue that we are addressing with the stewardship of Bassett Farms Conservancy, which is 2,400 acres. And how we best steward that is through the cultural landscape model. We've worked closely with partners at the National Park Service to develop a strategy around Bassett Farms, developing a cultural landscape inventory and report, and bringing that type of program to the general public through educational programs we would offer through the Preservation Texas Institute. We also are in the process of developing a conservation easement program. And with the addition of our new board member, Allison Elder, who has deep expertise in this area, we see opportunities to work with private landowners to secure conservation easements on important historic, rural, and cultural landscapes. And there's also an opportunity to work with existing land trusts and organizations that take easements where their expertise would focus on the large-scale landscapes overall, and many of those landscapes include historic buildings, and we could provide the expertise to manage an easement on those historic buildings. But cultural landscapes, including cemeteries and rural vistas, I mean, those are all critical parts of what we're interested in looking at. And for instance, the Indian Springs cultural landscape site we included on our list last year is an example of that. And we'll continue to build out our program in that area.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And Dixie is asking about the regional advisory councils. And Dixie, so as we sort of further nurture these regional programs, the goal would be to build a base of financial support as well as strategic insight into those regions. And so we expect that the Regional Heritage Council will essentially function as a membership program at the $500 or maybe $1,000 level in which that level would then introduce someone into the Regional Heritage Council, which would offer special events and programs for fundraising. But that might also include an opportunity to invite local preservation partners onto our committees, such as our public policy committee, our stewardship committee, our regional programs committee, to provide input from an organizational level that might not be able to afford that level of membership. And Jennifer Wakefield is asking how we evaluate requests for intervention and what does that timeline look like? Jennifer, we have a form on our website that we use to have people submit information about a site that is endangered or needs some sort of support. And we tend to look at those pretty quickly and can get back to you within several days to let you know whether or not it's something that we can be helpful with. Certainly any site within driving distance of Tyler, El Paso, San Marcos is going to be easier for us to deal with, but we do have board members across the state and others that we can partner with to help with some field visits, to have a look at a site. But each site is different, and Texas is so big. So in terms of how we evaluate the requests, it's really on a case-by-case basis. It just depends on the scope and complexity of the project, how we can best be useful. And often it just means directing people to someone at perhaps the Texas Historical Commission. They might not know about their county historical commission, or even a local preservation officer. And we often get requests for people who might do work on a project. And so we do maintain a list on our website of preservation resources that we can certainly expand and will expand on as we build out our website. Any other questions? We are happy to entertain them by email and certainly following up in other ways. Please join us at one of our regional programs. We'll certainly be looking forward to seeing many of you at those events, and we'll be at the Texas Historical Commission conference in April. And as I mentioned earlier, in May, we will be sharing with you information about our fee-for-service program and how we're going to approach our 2025 Most Endangered Places list, as well as our honor awards. And we have a lot of work ahead of us, so we appreciate your support and interest, and want to thank the team that we've assembled here at PT to support the work that you're doing and to lead the initiatives that we're doing here internally to support preservation in Texas. So thank you all for your time, and we'll see you all on the road sometime soon.
Bye, everyone.